welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. And today I'm in Northern Ireland, near the Mourne Mountains, which is the highest mountains in Northern Ireland. And the Game of Thrones fans under you might know them because they are a lot of filming places for Westeros. Scenes were shot here, and yeah, I don't know these, but I didn't recognize any of that. So, but I am actually visiting a small distillery called the Killowen Distillery. And the region is very famous for smuggling. During the Prohibition, there was a smuggling route going through that valley, so it's really iconic that they built a distillery here. The distillery was actually built in 2019 by a local person who came back from Australia. And during this visit or stay in Australia, he actually seen a lot of distilleries there, and one distillery really put a mark on him. There was one that was really Irish style, and he said, why isn't there a distillery like back home that represents the old illicit distilling non-parliament whiskey in my hometown? So he went around and found an old abandoned cow shed that was really in a very bad state. So he renovated it and actually put a distillery into it. It went pretty well, and he had to expand because the second room he filled with casks was overflowing. So he found a second kind of warehouse for himself. It looks like a tractor barn or something like that. And so they have expanded into a 2-building situation. And let's get in and see how that distillery is actually working. The distillery is a bit smaller, so this equipment is also a bit smaller. And behind me we see the mill, and this is the mash tun. But let's talk about the ingredients first. And the ingredients, they get their water from Silent Valley, which is a really good water just up the hills from, I think, the highest mountains in Ireland. And the barley they get also is really nice because these farmers around here, it's a really, really rural area. The farmers around here, they do also grow barley, and they sell it, they like to sell it here to the distillery. So they get the unmalted barley from them. And the malting, there's a big malting nearby, the big malting company, so they can actually take their malt, have it malted at the malters, and get it back very, very locally here. But they get it then in 25 kilo sacks, and they fill one sack in here, just turn on the mill and get it into the mash tun where they already have a bit of water in there. And then it's, they have a false floor. This is an old dairy tank, which they repurposed, but it really feels like a little bit like illicit distilling, and it really fits into this distillery very well. But then you have to turn it somehow. They don't have like a propeller or something, but they do have paddles. They do have a bit of a longer mash because they have one-stage roller mill, and so they paddle it quite often to have it mashed. But they are not rushed because this is quite a large vessel, and they don't need to be like that fast to be efficient or something. So having it a longer time in there compensates for their, let's say it, inefficient method of mashing. And that is really lovely because it's just a lot of handmade work going into there. This is really craft by the limit. So they take about 2.5 hours, depending on the mash bill. Some unmalted barley might take longer, and malted barley might be a little bit faster. After that, we have a really, really sugary mash that is then ready to be turned into alcohol. So the fermentation is done in these vessels, and what they do realize is they have some horses around here, and maybe I'll get some in from the German takes because they came in here. And they ferment them in these vessels, and they ferment. Oh, here comes one. And so they realized they do like the mash, and even I think also the wash. So the wash and the mash is done in this row, and all the finished goods and feints and foreshots, whatever they need to store here, they are in the second row because they don't like it. And so they fill in the mash, they add some yeast. They want to leave it open because they want to collect some yeast, but on these days where it's rainy, they close it because you don't want to dilute it. And it ferments through for a long time, 5 to 7 days. They ferment really long, just to create a lot of flavors. And they are, as they say, a small batch distillery, and they don't have any like heat cycling or something, or they don't have that much of heat control. So what they do is, in wintertime, they have a bit of insulation they put over, but that's basically it. So summer and winter is different, and they have different products producing in summer and winter. They can do with a little different temperatures what they do from summer and winter, but they do produce different products. And after these 5 to 7 days, you have a lot of alcohol in that, although it's not comparable to a high efficient distillery, because it's just more of an, I don't want to say improvised, but a low level process what they have. And with that we have enough alcohol for distillation. The distillery actually has 3 stills, 2 wash stills, Christian and Brock, and then we have Breed as the spirit still. Christian is 1,000 liters in capacity, Brock 800, Breed is also 800, but they don't fill them to the capacity, they fill them about half, so 500 liter for Brock, for example. And then we have something very special. They're direct fire. They're gas fired from below, but they're not like typically gas fired where you do very strong and fast gas firing that gives you more spiciness and a more rough taste to it, but they go very, very slow, and their distillation time reflects that. They go like 12 to 24 hours, so really long. And so that's what a bit of the long distillation would be really smooth whiskey, but the direct firing would be really spicy. They don't have a rummager, so they have a big cleaning job. And then you have warm tubs. Warm tubs are also very traditional, and they also have the tendency that you become a very spicy whiskey. There are a lot of distilleries like from Dufftown that have still warm tubs, and they are really spicy. You probably know them, and the spiciness is reflected inside the spirit. So the spirit still that is most important for the spiciness is actually producing a spicy new make, but they didn't want to go overly spicy. That's why they go so slow. So this is a kind of what they want to do. They want to like be in very old traditional style, not Parliament whiskey, but like illicit distilling style of whiskey, like a Poitin or something like that. And this is what they're looking for, but they don't want to be overly spicy. So that's what they do. Still, they do have a bit of fluctuation in here, so this is a small batch distillery. In the end, every distillation that runs in here comes out with 90 liters, and that gives them about a cask per week, depending on what kind of cask you're filling. So this is how they make their new make. Let's continue then. The distillery has actually one second building, one warehouse. And this warehouse is filled to the top with casks and barrels and whatnot. On this side, we have a lot of bourbon casks. We do see a few firkins in there. They do love their firkins because they're small. They are really short in space, so short and small casks. That is really nice for them because they mature very fast. So we can switch them out pretty fast as well. But also here is a French ice wine, and there's a ruby, probably also sherry, big sherry butts going on here and other butts here. And there are also a lot of rum casks going around as well, which they are a bit more famous for. And in total they have 250 casks, but as I said, they are full. So every time they want to bring in a new cask, they need to get out an old one. So this is really the time. They're about 6 years old now when they really need to switch out casks, or maybe hopefully they also think about maybe there's another shed around here that can hold some whiskey casks. So that was it pretty much with the production, and I really want to try now what they're making. So this was it with the production, and I'm standing here with Patrick Grayslowen, the distiller here. Did I pronounce it right?
You pronounced it perfectly well,
thank you very much for having us here.
You're very welcome.
It was really lovely seeing all the Yeah, the small distillery and the countryside.
Yeah, we really are one of Ireland's smallest distilleries. We don't make it up. I know when you come in, what you see is what you get with Killowen Distillery. Very small, very vibrant. We are small batch.
Yeah, you are really small. That's why we at the morning we actually drove past you and we were like, house. Where's the distillery?
Yeah, I see. I noticed you drive past, and I was like, I think that might be there. I might go out and get them. Yeah. So we're really small. We've no signage or anything that'll allure you to the fact that we're a distillery. But I'm glad you found us.
So is the distillery doing any tours?
So the distillery does tours. Once at the end of every month we do a tour. We mainly rely on the fact that we need to be in production more than anything. So we do tours, and you can book them online and everything. And yeah,
you can book them online on your website.
You can book them online at KillowendDistillery.com. Yeah, you can go on the website.
That's good. Yeah, if you want to see the distillery,
absolutely
go and Killowen.
Absolutely,
Distillery.com. Yeah, that's good.
Exactly.
So, but I'm really interested in the whiskey.
As you should be. So what we've done, we've lined up a couple of whiskies for us to try. I hope you're not driving at the end of this.
No, I have a cameraman who's driving.
Excellent, even better. So we've a few different whiskies to taste. What we've done is we've lined up Killowen Irish Single Malt, 5-year-old, or Rum and Raisin. We've done a peated version of that for you as well, and then we have a very special Baron Tool whiskey. That's a whiskey that we distill on site, 100% at Killowen as well.
Okay, nice. So Rum and Raisin, that will be the first one.
That will be the first one.
I think it was from the left, right?
So I've gone from left into right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Absolutely. So
the last one's a peated, right?
The last one is a peated one. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
exactly.
that's the right way
way
around.
Rum and Raisin, it is a 5-year-old single malt that we source directly from Great Northern Distillery, which is just across the loch in Dundalk. We're very open to the fact that we source our whiskies. What we like to do is we want to empower the consumer. We want the consumer to know exactly what they're buying. We want to put it on the bottle that is proudly sourced from Great Northern. Yeah. But what we do is, it's a 5-year-old that is in an ex-bourbon cask. And then what we do is we take it back to Killowen and we finish it in a ex-dark rum cask. And we finish it with PX sherry butts. Hence why you get the name Rum and Raisin, because you'll get a lot of those very strong rum and raisin, dried fruit flavours.
Okay, so, I like it.
On the nose, you'll get that immediate dark rum.
Yeah, I do.
Sweetness. It's beautiful, and then it is cask strength, so it's 55%. We cask it. Yes, exactly.
I was about this kind of fresh.
Very, very fresh. Yeah, it'll not drink like a 55% whiskey. It'll be very, very smooth, and then what you'll get at the end is this lovely dried fruit flavour, and then a bit of fig. And then even at the end, you might get a little bit of melon. If you open it up with a bit of water, you'll get a little bit of melon. It's one of my favourites. It's really
I would say it has definitely that raisin touch to it. That
massively
dried fruit.
so. Yes.
Even I mean rum, yes, but rum also has a bit of a raisin flavour. And
exactly.
So the raisin is really strong.
So you get a lot of raisin on the nose.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Let's have a taste.
And a bit of vanilla and caramel. Yeah, definitely.
Vanilla, caramel, obviously. Yeah, but listen, Sláinte. Thank you so much. So you get that dried fruit. Have you ever had Christmas cake?
Yeah, it is a cake one. This is definitely a cake
one. So it's like a bit of Christmas in your mouth. It's really
I like
tasty,
it.
Yeah.
It really has a Christmas cake and feeling to it.
Yeah. Absolutely. So you can see why we went for the rum and raisin. We really played into that.
But also has a bit of a creaminess. So
yeah,
it's like I did once a cheesecake with raisins in it. Right. Remind me a little bit of that. Okay. Just because of the creaminess and the raisins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then what I tend to find, I pick up a lot of fig with it. I love a bit of fig myself, but I pick up a lot of fig and it finishes really nicely fig with me. But as I said at the start, you get, in my opinion, I think you get a lot of that lovely rum straight off the bat, and then it finishes with that lovely dried fruit at the end. And as I said, 55%, it's cask strength, doesn't necessarily drink with as a cask strength whiskey.
So you could also put a bit of water in it?
Put a bit of water in it. I actually find when you open it up with a little bit of water, you get more of a melon finish, which is really lovely sweet melon finish.
More fruitiness there?
Absolutely. It opens up that bit of fruit, yeah.
So I've seen a lot about the distillery, and so the idea behind that. What was the idea to make like a distillery here.
Yeah, so the founder of the company, Brendan Carty, had this idea when he lived in Australia, and he visited a distillery, I think, in Tasmania. And the distillery was actually, what they were doing was they were distilling in the old Irish method of distilling whiskey. So the ethos of Killowen is what we try to do is we try to bring Irish distilling back to its origin. So we want to bring it all back to how it used to be made. So what you'll see, what you have seen is we do very long distillations in copper pot stills that are directly flame fed. We do them for 12 to 24 hours.
Yeah,
very inefficient. But it gives the amount of interaction with the copper that we want, that we get that lovely copper pot still spice. And then what we do is we still use the likes of worm tube condensers. Nobody uses worm tube condensers anymore, really, except for ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I do love the amount of tradition you have there behind that, and I would think that back in the days when you had like non-parliament whiskey or like illicit poitin, like back in the days when the farmers they had the milking and let's use that for mashing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So like what we do is we do it all by hand. Nothing's really done by button. We actually mash by hand. Like you'll see us paddling away and mashing by hand. Yeah. So it's long, it's arduous, but at the end of the day, you get this lovely.
So how does the place smell when it's peated?
Like a smokehouse. You normally get this. There's always a smell of lovely sweet tea almost about the place. Obviously, when we're peating, smoky sweet tea. Yeah.
Okay, the next one is also peated.
It is peated. So what we've done, what we've lined up next is it's rum and raisin again, but it's peated. So it's the same, but we've gone for a nice peated version because we've had a lot of success with our rum and raisin. So we thought we'd try and peat one. And what you're going to get from this, once again, very similar, obviously very similar to the rum and raisin. You'll get that nice sweet, but you will get a lot of that smokiness coming through.
A lot of the whiskies usually hide their peat smoke on the nose, but this one doesn't.
Right off the nose, you get a lot of peat. So once again, all sourced from Great Northern Distillery, as it's the same as the rum and raisin, 5 years.
Okay, but now I get the similarities.
Yes.
You have to get a bit of accustomed to the peat.
We like to view this one as if you're not massively into your peated whiskies, this is a really good gateway.
No, okay.
If you're anything like myself, I'm not big into peated whiskey.
Okay.
This is perfect for me because once you have it, you'll still get the nice flavour notes and then a lovely hit of peat at the end, which I think works really, really well.
Oh, I like it.
It is nice, isn't it?
But it's again, it's not one of these Isla Marine.
No,
it's more of a bonfire.
Exactly. Yeah.
Together with that sweetness, rum raisin. Yeah, I like it.
Sitting beside a fire.
But it's also 55, right?
It is. It's 55. It's 55 as well. Yeah. But not like as you said, the Isla. Some of the Isla whiskies, as lovely as they are, can be incredibly overpowering if you're not into your peat.
Yeah, the thing is, if you have an Isla whiskey, then it's kind of Isla all the way to the end of the evening, but because you didn't taste anything else.
Your first drink is going to be smoke, your last is going to be smoke. Whereas this, you can jump in between very nicely. This is a really good introduction to peated whiskey.
Yeah, I think a little break after that would be good.
Nice, isn't it?
It has a good amount of peat. It's not like a light peated, it's a good peated whiskey, but it's not an overpowering peat. Yeah.
I think with this, the peated really comes through at the end. You get a lovely feeling of peat at the end.
Okay,
try. Sláinte again. Thank you.
It's actually okay. Now get a bit of it.
Now you get the peat.
5.55, but it's first it's a bit sweet and all that kind of stuff from the first one. And now here comes a lot of peat.
Exactly, yeah.
A lot of peat.
You get that lovely sweetness. You still get that nice fresh, almost like a coconutty smack. And then that lovely bit of peat works its way down at the back.
But it's kind of a really dark kind of peat, like really chimney, a bit of earthy touch to it even. Yeah. It's without the iodine flavor and none of the seaweed and all that kind of Isla stuff.
Exactly,
but it's earthy kind of touch to it, and I think I have to say a little bit hard to have that sweet rum and raisin. It's really a big turn from the first one.
And even though it is obviously the exact same, except for the fact that it's peated barley. But you still, when you drink it, you still finish with almost a completely different drink.
Yeah, the thing is completely different drink.
Yeah, it is. And
It's completely.
Yeah.
The thing is, the first one you have that rum raisin.
Yeah.
And the second one, it's just a note.
Yes,
It's just a side note.
You get a sweetness, and then it's mostly the peated on the back. But
It is peated and with a rum raisin on the side.
yeah, exactly. And who doesn't like a bit of rum and raisin on the side? Yeah, it's actually one of my favorites because, as I said, peated's not necessarily my cup of tea. Whereas I find this is something that I could easily sip on, and once again open it up with a bit of water, and it brings out a lot more of that fruity flavour as well. So if you're missing that from your first original rum and raisin, add a bit of water, it brings it all right back, and you still get that nice peated flavour.
Yeah, I like it.
It is lovely.
So you're a distiller here. So
I'm a distiller here.
How is it work? I mean, I've seen a lot of the big distillers and distilleries, and the distillers are sitting there at a computer. Looks good. Looks good. No warnings. Yeah. Let's go for a walk. So how is it here?
It's a bit different here. Definitely because our stills are running right now. And I will absolutely need to go check to see.
Okay, so we'll have a little break then.
If it's okay to have a quick break, I need to go check because obviously they're still flame fed and I need to check on them every couple of minutes.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much. They're actually
Everything
on. They're good. Yeah, I've turned them off. Yeah,
Okay.
they just finished. So
They just finished. Okay.
Just finished, so I had to turn them off. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So you're the distiller here, so
Yeah,
you obviously have to check the stills, but like with the paddling, how is that?
It's it's great. Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough, but it is completely different to kind of any other distillery. As you said, a lot, or you press a button, you read magazines, you watch TV. This is very, you have to be on site all the time because it is flame fed long distillations. We want to make sure everything's going right. When we're doing our mashes and our mashing, like we have to use paddles. We use old traditional methods of making whiskey. That's what Killowen whiskey is. So we still mash by hand. It's very warm. It's arduous work.
Okay.
But it's worth it at the end. It's worth it at the end.
Okay, and is it like then a lot of pumping, or you have like
There is a lot at any given time. There's about 15 things that are happening at once.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you have to be obviously on point the entire time. But once you get into a rhythm, everything should line up. But we're prone to mishaps every now and again, like everybody is.
What I like the idea is what you said is that you're not going for 100% consistency.
Yeah, exactly. So the method of even our fermentation, for example, what we do is once we have our worts, we bring it outside and we ferment it in the open. We do open top fermentation. So we let the indigenous wild yeast of the area interact. And you're never, ever going to have 100% the same as what the last one was because it's always going to be different depending on what the natural yeast is.
Okay, and what I didn't have inside the video is like your cuts.
Yes, so we do it once again. We do it a little differently to everybody else, but we do it traditionally. We make all our cuts by nose. So we cut heads by nose, and we know when to cut our hearts by nose as well.
So when you had training, there was like, this is what you need.
This is what exactly. Yeah.
Look at this.
Exactly. This is good. This is not so good. Yeah. So what I find is once you kind of go into your tailsy part, you get more of a metallic flavor on the back of your nose. That's what we're obviously. Once we kind of get that, we're like, right, our heads are done, for example, and then we cut it like that.
Yeah, but you're not like, I think I've seen 3 distilleries now who do it by nose.
Yeah.
The first one was really about continuity.
Yes.
And the thing is, you're not like continuity, is you're like just craft stuff.
We have it, we know.
We know where it's bad, but
Exactly,
you're not like, it has to be exactly like the 100,000 casks before that.
If, for example, we are 0.5% out of what our last one was, that's fine by us.
Okay.
Because we do it by nose. That's our ingenuity, that is our trademark. We like to do it as traditionally as possible. That's how people in Ireland used to distill whiskey.
I mean, they didn't have the tools.
They didn't have the technology. Like we obviously do check our ABVs, we do, but we do it by nose to make sure, and that gives us our uniqueness.
Okay, yeah. I like that.
I like it as well. It's a good way of doing it.
So, and the third one now is.
So the third one's So the third one here is it's called Barrantool whiskey. That is the
Barrantool.
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 Barrantool is it's an Irish word. It's a Gaelic word. There's no exact translation into English, but its closeness is truth to origin, true to origin.
Okay.
And that is encompassing entirely of what Killowen is as a distillery, because we want to empower you, the consumer, to know exactly what it is that we're doing.
Okay.
So
the distillery is called Killowen,
So-
and the brand will be Baron Tool.
Exactly. So the whiskey that is distilled on site is Baron Tool whiskey. So
Okay.
one thing that we do a little differently once again is that in each bottle of our Baron Tool, we will actually give you a little card, and that card will entail exactly what our mash bill is.
Yeah, let me
It'll
just
tell
show
you exactly how we ferment it, and
Okay.
we tell you everything it is that we're doing. There's not many distilleries out there.
Okay, here's like the mash bill.
Exactly, yeah.
Is that the parts on there?
So that's per bag. So we tell you exactly per bag what goes into our mash bills.
Wait, these are like the bags you counted into the
Exactly, into the
mill.
milk grinder. Yeah, exactly.
Ah, okay,
yeah.
and then fermentation. Okay, this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
so it's very rare to see distilleries now that would show you exactly what they're putting into their whiskey and how they're doing their whiskey. Whereas we like to go, because it's
Okay.
it's the ethos of the company that we do. We want to be as truthful, as honest with the consumer as possible.
Nice.
It is
I like
nice.
that. I like
So
that. Oh,
what-
and you got some stuff on
And
there
we
as
have
well.
some stuff on the bottle as well. So yeah, so what we're going to try here is, this is a 3-year-old that we placed into heavily charred Pinot Noir casks, Pinot Noir Firkin casks. The reason I pulled this one out is, as I said, it's kind of my personal favourite one.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so I like having a drink of it, but this is also obviously cask strength. So this is obviously, I believe it comes in at 62.3.
Oh, okay.
So it's obviously a bit stronger. Now, the main thing with our Baron Tool whiskey is we run everything through copper pot distillations. We run it through warm tub condensers. So we like to extract as much of that copper as possible, and that gives it that really famous peppery copper pot spice. That zestiness that you get from a copper pot, you will taste it massively in this.
So you put it in the barrel at 63.5?
So it'll go into the barrel at about 68.5, and then over time, obviously, it'll reduce in a bit of ABV, and then we pull it out at what it is. We don't like to, as I said, we don't water down our whiskies. We give you, the consumer, the opportunity to do that if you want. So the one that we're having is 62.3 degrees.
Okay, that's a bit hefty.
percent. It's a little hefty, but it'll not drink like that.
Okay.
Okay, I promise this. So, as it immediately you kind of get that pepper on the nose. You'll get the copper pot spice straight off the nose.
But it's a dark pepper.
It is.
But
it is.
I think maybe I got the Pinot Noir.
You get nice sweetness from the
Yeah,
Pinot Noir.
but also kind of like a. But it's peated, right?
It
has
is-
a bit
it
of
is,
a dark cloud all above it.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah. It is peated.
It's a wild bunch. This is like
Yeah.
you have the pepperiness, you have the sweetness, but more of a wine, and you have the clouds of smoke in there.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's
this
a
is a-
really complex spirit, but at that percentage, at that high percentage, you still get this massive amount of flavour and taste. The sweetness from the Pinot Noir cuts through lovely, and then you get a lovely peat at the end, and then you're left with a really lovely pepperiness and zestiness.
The pepper, once you get used to the smoke, the pepper really comes stronger for me.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody got different experience with smells and everything,
Yeah.
but for me it was like first the smoke, and then here comes the pepper,
yeah,
and the Pinot Noir with all that.
that lovely kind of red peppercorn that you kind of
Yeah,
use.
it
Sometimes
changes.
yeah.
Before that, it was just dark, and maybe it was a bit
Yeah.
of a peat, but now it's like you know that when you have the mixed peppers in.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. When
That
you-
feels
yeah.
like that.
That's exactly what it is. But as I said, this
Yeah,
is
red pepper,
This is my
green
favorite.
pepper.
Yeah,
I like it.
absolutely.
Okay,
Here,
Sláinte.
sláinte. These are the noises that we want people to make when they drink our whiskey.
Oh, this is something different. Whoa.
So you get that lovely viscous note. It's lovely and viscous. You get that lovely pepper, like straight away, lovely amount of pepper. And then the sweetness of that Pinot Noir comes through just so nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the sweetness of the Pinot Noir is not dominant.
No, not at all. Not
I
at
think
all.
with what was it, 3 years?
3 years, yeah.
You've captured nicely. I think that pepperiness, that Yeah, I like it that you have that because like a spicy whiskey, yeah, they are out there.
Yes, yeah,
But
exactly.
they're not that common. And especially, I think, in Ireland.
Yeah, absolutely, and we get that spicy pepperiness from our distillation and from our method of doing things. As I said, we don't do things in the traditional sense. We do very long, drawn out distillations because we want that interaction with the copper, so we get that nice spice at the end.
Oh.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's a really lovely, lovely whiskey.
But it's definitely not for a beginner.
No,
This is not a beginner one.
This is not
Whereas
your beginner.
this one, awesome for beginners.
Absolutely.
This one is then a nice following. This one is an expert.
This
whiskey.
is your expert level.
This is your expert level
Expert
because it's
level.
spicy, peaty, and has that nuances of the Pinot Noir below that you can. And
Exactly.
the cask strength above 60% now.
60, 62.
But I lovely.
It sums up Killowen. We bottle historically with a rebellious twist. Is the best way to kind of describe how we do it. We do everything as traditional as possible, but we like to add our own spin onto things with the likes of a heavily charred Pinot Noir.
I would be really wondering how close you would come to like an old whiskey that was smuggled through here.
Well, that's what we do. So
I would really like to know how close you would come to it. Probably, but they would probably be much more horrible.
well, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
I mean, back in the days, like
Yeah.
4 shots and tails, I'm not quite sure
Yeah.
if they were really that good like you.
Yeah, well,
So-
they might not have had as much training.
And probably be like, no, we're not throwing that away. We're selling that.
Yeah, exactly. Sell. Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit spirity. I don't care. It just
It's
sells
perfect.
well. It's prohibition time.
get it out.
Get it out.
But-
Yeah, so I guess you are like higher quality than back in the days.
Yeah.
But except for that, like the spiciness, the peatiness, that really would be like back in the days.
Absolutely, yeah. You would have got that. And listen, we do as much work as we can with historians, with history historians, to try and find old mash bills. Like these mash bills are not unique to us; they are old Irish traditional mash bills.
Yeah, let's see the mash bill.
Absolutely,
I was amazed about the like unmalted barley, smoked malted.
Yep.
So three unmalted, 7 smoked malted barley, then 2 oats,
2 oats, so you get that nice creaminess.
1
from
bag of wheat, and 1 bag of rye.
Perfect. Perfect. And this is,
One
as I
bag
said,
of rye in there.
we try to keep as traditional as we possibly can, and this is how we used to distill whiskey in Ireland, and this is why we do it today.
What are you allowed to call it the pot still, or are you allowed to? It's just an Irish.
So this is the issue. Pot still. This is called. God, I'm actually not sure.
But it doesn't say pot still anywhere.
No,
so
it
I
wouldn't
guess
be
it will
pot still.
Yeah,
So this is.
regulations are too tight, I think.
Regulations are very tight. So with that, for example, that mash bill was 2 bags of oats. So we're only, if you were to call it pot still now, it'd be less than 10%, whereas I think that's a little over, so you get that more creaminess.
Yeah.
But legislation, hopefully, in the near future will be changing. So.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot during my visits. Like they will change it at some point.
Yes, it will be. Hopefully in the next maybe year or two. So you might be able to see. Hopefully that's what we hear, but we don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah. So I think we're through. Do you have
Perfect.
anything else?
Absolutely not. I could have another drink if you want, if you want one.
So no, but I think thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome.
That
Good
was
to
a
see
really,
you.
really lovely visit here.
Thank you so much.
And yeah, thank you very much for watching. And if you found this video interesting, then please feel free to share it with your friends. And if you like these whiskies, then have a look at Whisky.de and Whisky.com. You can actually buy them there because it might not be the same as these because they are small batch and change.
Small batch, yeah. Small batch and changes.
Yeah, and thank you very much for watching and see you next time.
Thank you.